apparently the way that they tested you in that server is that they came and they killed you. So I made this elaborate underground rail system, and it was the beginning of my destroying people's lives by being a moderator. By the way, you look a little bit blubbery yourself there. I'm still exposed. I don't want to be exposed. And I haven't started collecting wheat from my wheat farm. That's my favorite go-to when I start a survival game is the bread. It's the most, well, it takes a while to get it going. But once you get it going, man, you can eat bread forever. Of course, I realize it's not the best for you, but until I get a cow and all that fun stuff, what can you do? What can you do? So anyway, long story short, I built a house underneath the swamp in the Bloodhood server. You know, we had a good time. We would, you know, they would have weekend games where they get together. I think Rooster Teeth had a lot of things called Let's Plays during that time. And they would essentially make these huge builds. And they were nice. There were some nice stuff. And I remember that I would be like, hey, you know what'd be funny is if there was like a narrative animated version of this that I could just put their characters in there. And at the same time, I'm teaching myself how to do Blender. You know? And I would be able to say, hey guys, you know, this is pretty cool. Check this out. And then they would see it, and sure enough, they liked it. They liked the little skits I did. I think one of them, the first one was about this guy named Jesse. And that was his in-game name. It was JESSSSSY _ something ridiculous along those lines. But then, you know, I came along as Celtichorn, so I'm not all that much, you know, I'm not, don't make fun of my name. I just wanted to, you know, participate, and I made my little underground house. And I remember that I thought, well, okay, these guys are nice. And then the admin appeared and destroyed me, like immediately. And I was like, what did I do? And no, he's just, you know, he's being an admin. And apparently the way that they tested you in that server is that they came and they killed you. And if you freaked out and threw a fit, they knew they were going to cut you from the server. But if you just like rolled with it, like, ha ha ha, what was that for? Then they knew that you were cool and you could stay. And thankfully I was like, okay, because I thought I did something wrong. I thought, did I build on somebody's something? Did I do something weird? Am I not supposed? Is this an age-gated thing? Are they ageist? Are they against us old folks? Are they against us old folks playing Minecraft? But no, it wasn't that. Terrible HR. And I thought, you know what? I really don't want that to happen again. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to build, like I'm doing now, a huge tunnel. I'm not doing it right now, but I'm digging. And I made it like a little underground maze. And the idea was, yeah, they can teleport, right? They can teleport, they can fly through walls and all this funny stuff. But you know what they can't do is they're too busy flying. So maybe they won't see me if I'm able to get into these little corners and I go down, and then they're gonna be flying after me. But they're gonna be like, "Oh man, he's ducking and weaving, he's moving fast, he's got this all figured out. Oh, what am I gonna do?" In other words, I'd waste their time. That was my whole thing. I would waste their time, and if I could waste their time, then they wouldn't have time to grief me, right? Or if they actually did that and it had it on where you could lose your items, they were really cool about giving it back. But still, you know, you're making your thing, and then you get people coming about you. What's that about? What's that about? What are you kids doing these days? Okay, I need a goal for today. I think a full set of copper armor will do. I need a full set of copper armor. Yeah, burn. And then I also need food or I'm going to die. Let's see, what can I do? I need a gardening helper. Not going to say the name. Is there children present? Probably. I don't need this to be perfect for now. I just need it to be something. There we go. Okay, I just need one more seed, and then at least I can have a consistent 3 wheats. They were super nice about stuff like that. Eventually, after they saw my videos, like I had mentioned earlier, man, my stories go all over the place. They were like, hey, you know what? We trust you. We like you. That's cool. And I was like, hey, you know what? Help me make more videos. And they're like, what? I said, if I had creative mode. Really? And I go, yeah. I said, but it's a really big project, so I can understand if you don't feel the need to do that. And they're not handing out creative mode to new members of a server. But because they saw what I was doing, they're like, okay, well, he's not going to do anything nefarious with it. He's not going to do anything nefarious with it. I totally didn't do anything nefarious with it. Or did I? Well, actually, the problem was that there was a bunch of people there before me. And some of them were griefing, like legitimate griefing and all that sort of stuff. How many pieces of art? How many pieces Oh, wait, I know how to do this. I know how to count. I don't need this thing. Oh, my gosh. Okay. So they were legitimate griefing, and what happened is that they had mods, right? And the mods would give you a timeout thing if you were caught, blowing up something you're not supposed to or whatever. And so there, got my M&M armor. It's not perfect, but I'll take it. Let me get a sword and I don't want a sword like that. Well, a stone sword. This would be better for now. Okay. So then they're like, okay, you want to make a movie? I'm like, yes. And they're like, okay, why is creative mode the only way you can do it? I said, well, and I remember they made a rule. It's like, okay, if you want creative mode and it's a project we approve, we'll let you do it. But you have to, you're going to lose it the second you sign on. I was like, okay. And so I did that. And they had a mod, like I said, that was, watching everybody griefing and didn't do anything about it. So they made me a mod because they're like, well, he already has creative mode and he needs it for his filming. So we just killed two birds with one stone. The other guy threw a fit. He threw the biggest fit I've ever seen because, oh no, Celtic's too new to this. He shouldn't have it. And it was the beginning of my destroying people's lives by being a moderator. I remember I had made an entire story around him. I actually contracted a animator before I really got into animating. And his name was Richard Brennick, and he's an amazing animator. I don't know what happened to him, but man, I hope he's still out there doing stuff. And if ever, somehow, some way, Richard, you're listening to this, thank you again for everything, because I know that fell apart really fast. And at the time I was trying to make friends with John Graham, but that was a terrible idea. He's just, he's too busy. He's too busy and he's got too many people bothering him. It was all bad. It was all bad timing. And I remember telling him, hey, I'm working on the script. Will you help me? And he was nice enough at the end of season 7 to write out, or to give me an idea of how to pace it. And he said, make PowerPoints, make little points in your thing and follow follow it. And that way, like your first act is like, you don't say write out the whole thing. You just go, character will walk into a situation, and then you say character will trip over a rock. Character will stand up and character will get angry at the rock, right? Not Dwayne Johnson, but, a literal rock. And, any more lights. It's nighttime again. It was nighttime, and then it rained, and then it was nighttime again. And so I did that. Oh, and then then you expand it. Then you make the script, but you finish the story with just those little PowerPoints. You know what I mean? I started the production on it. I got the video back from Richard Brennick, and it was great. It was really cool fight sequence. If I could somehow get a hold of him, I would totally ask him if he'd mind if I could post it. I don't think he would care. I think I'm going to post it on my YouTube channel anyway, because it's not doing anything, and I doubt I'm actually ever going to make that video. But after the whole thing with the mod happened, he's like, I don't want to be in your video anymore. I'm like, wait. You realize that we just, I just contracted this guy out of my own money. That they didn't pay me, and nor did they ask me to do it. So I'm not like mad at them or anything like that. But still, it was like, doggone it, Cool. And so I contacted the guy, and I was like, hey, we're having some problems with this thing. Well, for those, I didn't realize this at the time, but when you're rendering these things, it takes a toll on your CPU. It wasn't like, oh, here, just spit it out again. No, you're gradually destroying your computer every time you try to render, whether it be slower or faster. It's really up to you. So I asked the guy, and he's like, hey, what do you mean you need to re-render? I thought we were done. I said, well, this guy, he backed out on us, and now we're kind of stuck. And he goes, okay, well, are there any other changes you need? And I'm like, maybe add a different sword here, maybe look like this, add this. And he's like, sure, I could do that. That'd be great. And so he did it, and it was great. So I was talking to myself because I didn't unmute, so now I don't even remember where I left off. So yeah, anyway, the guy essentially would keep bothering me, and then I'd get my like creative mode, and the other guy quit, so I lost all my money, and then that was it. You know, I was like, oh man, and that's the reason why I don't like working with other people on YouTube projects. I mean, there was a show that I made called 9 a.m. It was a 2D animated show, and I wanted to do all the voices myself, but then that became taxing, so I figured I'd use Microsoft Dave. Not Sam, but Dave. And all the characters would sound like that. They'd all be my friends' voices, and then I would, make the show. I thought it was cool. I thought it was charming. I thought it had a little fun thing. It wasn't taking it too seriously. It was just being, dumb. But of course, I started getting complaints about how, well, I can't tell who's who. Well, they say each other's names like 50 million times. How many times do I have to say their names? And yeah, their personalities. But that was kind of the joke, that they were so similar, and they were complaining about each other, but at the same time, they're essentially criticizing themselves because they act the exact same way, which in psychology, I believe, is called projecting. I still don't have my favorite flower. Where's that cow?
Hey, Mr. D&D guy, I know you're over there talking about animation and your failure on the other blubberhood thing. Hey, by the way, you look a little bit blubbery yourself there, man.
Mr. Cow, that's not nice.
I'm just trying to point out how that you could stand to lose some weight.
I need a high protein diet. The back talking cow. He's not back talking to no one no more, is he? He's getting a timeout. But yeah, that's why I don't like. I mean, I like people. I do like people. I don't like working with people because I know that eventually someone's going to get upset about something. Someone's going to have a difference of opinion, and it's going to be like, well, there went the last. Oh my God, I have so many stories. I think that's what's going to make this work, is that I have so many dang stories about things that just didn't work. There, how about that? I could do that. Let me I need a glass. I need glass so I can look outside without getting murdered. That's the most disorganized I've ever been. There we go. I just need one. And yeah, they get mad. Somebody gets mad. They don't want to do it anymore. And then you already invested all this time, and then you're mid-project and nothing's happening. Now, have I learned anything from that? Probably not. Am I still working on projects where people are taking forever to finish it? Yes. That's for fun now. I don't do it as my I'm going to do this with the intention of, trying to make something a big production. If I'm not doing it 100% by myself, sometimes it feels like I have to accept the fact that this is going to fall apart at all times. And it sounds very depressing, but in a way it's kind of encouraging, because then I know for a fact I'm doing it because I want to. You know what I mean? When I have that mentality, I know I want to do something instead of having to do something. All right, I think what do I got? I got full set of copper armor. Awful. I got a chest, which I need to actually put some stuff in there. Make food. Make more food. I have my house. I have my torches here, right? Okay. And this is where I'll live until I am able to come back. Well, somehow I survived. I learned very little. The chicken is still making fun of me. In any case, subscribe if you want to see me make increasingly worse decisions while I try to relearn Minecraft. Thank you for watching. Farewell. Farewell. Well, somehow I survived. I learned very little. The chicken is still making fun of me. In any case, subscribe if you want to see me make increasingly worse decisions while I try to relearn Minecraft. Thank you for watching. Farewell. Farewell.